When I first came here to BYU, I remember a conversation I had with a group of colleagues, and I was being this person I had trained myself to be, and telling how important it was that I have certain resources to get my work done, and I absolutely needed it. I needed it right away. A colleague came up to me, and he said, "Oh, I didn't know you needed it so much. Here, you can have mine." And it wasn't so much that I needed it, but all of a sudden I took a step backwards and said, "Oh, okay, this is a different kind of place. Maybe I need to think differently about our community effort. And maybe these are colleagues that I can be safe with, and I don't have to worry about myself so much, and we can think about what we can do as a group and look out for each other." An environment that I think is really a lot more what the Savior probably would be happy with, and the kind of place where we could really be productive and do things together.
Fun story about the church in the days of Joseph Smith when they came up with the Nauvoo Charter, city charter. There was subsequently an ordinance passed in Nauvoo, and that ordinance guaranteed religious freedom. The ordinance reads something like, "We invite all people to practice their faith here, whether they be Roman Catholic, whether they be Methodist," and a variety of religions are named, and at the end of it, it said, "and the Mohammedans." Now, of course, Muslims don't call themselves Mohammedans. It's like saying they're Mormons, when we're really members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But that's what they were called in that day. And so here we have a Nauvoo City Ordinance that, of all things, welcomes Mohammedans to Nauvoo, as if there were Muslims in the United States, let alone anywhere near Illinois. It's that sort of vision that reaches out that I think encapsulates the spirit of Joseph Smith and Brigham Young, which is through education we reach out to other people and we include other people, we bring them in, and they're welcome in our society.
It's interesting when you study someone, it helps if you like them and you can relate to them. And I found so many things about David M. McKay that I had believed as an educator myself. I was able to interview Elder Eyring about him as an educator, and I hadn't quite hit on my thesis statement. Elder Eyring gave me that in about the first 5 minutes of an interview, and he said, "You know, the amazing thing about David M. McKay is he would teach ideals. And he taught them in a way that they seemed reachable." And he said, "You know, a lot of people would say in our modern world that's not possible, that you shouldn't put the ideal up there, that it's too hard to reach for." But David McKay was someone who said, "You know, I'm not going to apologize. Here's the ideal." And that has really influenced my teaching and the way I approach things, is when I teach my students, I say, here's the ideal. And it is possible.
Being able to watch your students mature, not just intellectually but spiritually, to see those things working in tandem, that as they think and ponder and question more, stop taking for granted the things that they've just heard served up by parents or seminary teachers. It's built my testimony to see that this questioning and this pursuit of the gospel in an intelligent way more often than not strengthens people's testimonies, that they come away realizing just how profound the gospel is, just how intellectually deep and illuminating enticing the gospel message is.
Richard G. Scott was talking about learning and teaching and such, and then in the midst of what he was talking about in terms of the changes that were coming and helping us understand that we do need to have faith in the Lord to work through the changes that will be coming and such, he just stopped and he looked over the faculty, you know, and he said, "I don't know if you realize this or not, but the miracle that is occurring on this campus has its origins in Jesus Christ.
Mountain West Conference Committee, it's a little bit different because the majority of people within our conference are fairly familiar with BYU. Currently, the majority of the league plays Friday, Sunday for women's soccer, and on the BYU-Utah road trip, they play Thursday, Saturday, which soccer has decided that that works well for them. However, with women's volleyball, I was able to counter the discussion about Friday, Sunday play and just really take a stand and say, you know, it's the Sabbath day, and you obviously know that we will not be playing on Sunday, but I believe strongly that numerous student athletes on each of your teams within the conference would prefer to keep Sunday as a Sabbath day, and if not a Sabbath day, a day of rest and a day that they need off. But it wasn't until it got down to the coaches and the coaches voted on it, we removed it from the administrative level, that there were numerous coaches who spoke up and said, no, I agree with this dissenting vote. I do not want my team playing on Sunday. And I was actually elated to learn that it didn't have to be BYU that led the charge on that issue, but that there were other schools and other coaches in our conference who stood alongside of us and actually carried the flag for us, so that it didn't have to be 8 against BYU like it is in soccer, but instead it was 6 teams or 6 schools saying, no, we're not playing on Sunday either.
Let me just say that it has been a unique privilege to work with these students. The satisfaction and pleasure that comes as we watch these students graduate and begin lives where they become very quickly church leaders, community leaders, successful in their professions, successful parents and family people, is just beyond description. It feels good to be a small part of that. And I hope that everything we do here at BYU contributes to that, and that we don't, in the microcosms of our individual tasks, never lose sight of that mission. As I think about the possibility of not working for myself or working for a man-made organization, and think about instead committing the rest of my professional life to working for the Lord, that motivates me.